While the hype around PSVR 2 on PC has been very, very positive, and the reception to it on PC has been very, very positive as it's come over with the PC adapter, there was one thing pre-launch which a lot of people were talking about in a negative light towards the headset, which is completely fair, and that is that there was no HDR, eye tracking, or adaptive triggers or headset rumble. Now, these are the big features that people were saying were going to kill the headset on PC potentially, because why would you pick up this headset when none of the key features exist? We've seen now that it's out, a lot of people have picked it up for PC or picked up the adapter to use with their PC, and people are loving it. I've really enjoyed using mine over the past couple of weeks, and it will become my main PC VR headset. However, we've gotten word over the last couple of days that you can actually unlock the adaptive triggers of the PSVR 2 Sense controllers on PC, but this comes with a bit of a caveat. Before we begin and talk about this and dive into what this means for the future and whether or not this is ever going to be something that's really utilized and what are the odds of the other features being unlocked, please feel free to like and subscribe. We do everything PSVR 2 here daily, so if you enjoy that, feel free to hit that button. Anyway, let's talk about it. From a user called Final Hope 227 on the PSVR 2 on PC subreddit, they said that PSVR 2 adaptive triggers are working on PC. This is through an app called DSX by a dev called Peliverse on Steam. You don't need the DLC, just the base app. And this essentially allows you to add the adaptive triggers into the PSVR 2 Sense controllers. But there is a downside to this, and that is that this is just unlocking that potential and using it on every single trigger press. It's the same as how some games on PC use the DualSense adaptive triggers, the normal PS5 controllers. It then uses that in games, for example, any of the Sony first-party ones like Concord. If you plug in a PS5 controller, it'll use the adaptive triggers like it does on PS5, but through PC. And it's the same here. It's using the same tech to unlock them on the Sense controllers, because assuming they use the same sort of software to unlock that. And you're just telling the controller to do the adaptive triggers every time you pull the trigger. So this is not adaptable in terms of which scenario is going to trigger the adaptive triggers to work. It is just every single time. This is exciting because it allows us to see that this is unlockable, and if this has been unlocked, then the headset rumble could be unlocked, and for example, HDR, even though not really many Steam games support that, and eye tracking, which I think will be the most difficult out of all of these to really unlock, will be the eye tracking. Might be a little bit finicky to get working, but eventually I'm confident somebody will figure it out. But it's only been a couple of weeks and the adaptive triggers have already, we found a way to unlock them. However, as I said, this is every single time with the trigger press. So this was my biggest issue with the argument that PSVR 2 will not be a great headset on PC because of these missing features when it comes over, is because that there are no games that really support this anyway. Of course, it's got to be there in the first place for games to want to support it. So for example, Half-Life Alyx, if Valve wanted to unlock that, it would have to be present there at the start. But now that it is, I don't really see any games really using this. If it gets to the point where devs can really pick this up and incorporate it, who is going to go out of their way to add this feature for a specific headset that not a massive amount of the Steam VR market is going to use? It is a fair number of us on PC using it, but compared to, say, Quest or the main headsets they're going to be releasing on, what is the point? It's really cool to have this, and as a user, you can install DSX and you can set up the adaptive triggers to go off when you press if you want to add immersion to a game where you're always going to be using a weapon with that trigger. For example, Half-Life Alyx, for the most part, you can just relegate your trigger use to pulling the trigger for your right-hand controller, for example, with your pistol or your shotgun, and that might be fairly immersive. But on a dev-to-dev basis, this isn't really going to change much. It opens up more opportunities for the user to do that, but ultimately I don't think that many people are going to be using this because it requires you, the player and the user, to configure it yourself and to work around any issues that come up, instead of it just being plug in and it works with games. So I don't really see this being incorporated through devs when it is unlocked for developer use. Maybe some devs which are like in early development might look for this as an option for PSVR 2 users. But again, it's one of the ones where on PS5, it's a feature that's pushed. Here, it's something that is accessible, but I don't see changing the landscape of PSVR 2 on PC. But it is exciting that this tech has been unlocked. Further down the thread, we have the same sentiment echoed, but kind of expanding the conversation a little bit more, as a user called 100 Lime Juice says, "I love adaptive triggers, but what makes 99% of it special is how they are made different for every weapon by professional devs," as we're saying. For example, in Resi 4 or COD Cold War, each weapon feels so different, from the halfway click of the shotgun to the fast vibrations of a machine gun to the different strengths of each as well. Adaptive triggers on PC will not have that kind of specific detail unless they are developed by the professionals. The OP responds saying, "It can be done. We just need some smart modders. There's a GTA 5 mod already for DualSense which enables different adaptive trigger effects for different guns," which is true, but now we come onto the counterpoint, which is that modders making mods for the biggest selling game of all time for a controller that has sold at least 60 million units is not remotely the same world as a few thousand PSVR2 PC users. 99% of PCVR games will never get proper adaptive trigger support from modders or developers even if Sony doesn't support it. It sucks, but that's the truth. The update that the triggers work on PC is good news though, as the user, on a base-to-base cases, can try it out. Which is absolutely true, and I think the most exciting thing for me that's come of this is that maybe we can get eye tracking working at some point, which can be used in games like VR chat, for example, for the eye tracking to show where your eyes are looking in-game. Things like that. But as it stands, the triggers aren't a massive breakthrough in terms of the player and how that's going to affect people on PC. But in terms of the PSVR2 tech, it shows that these things can be cracked, even though they were never intended to be used in the first place. That's the exciting part for me. Anyway, thank you all for watching with this short little video where we're taking on this piece of exciting news, but one that has to be taken with a little bit of, tempered expectations as to what it actually means, but who knows where we're going in the future. Gotta say thank you to our patrons and YouTube members as well: Luke Bentley, Phil Irving, Hazit Mercer, Ace Gamer, Hippie Pickle, Jin007, A License to Chill, Sun, WTF, Fat Controllers, Jason Parker, Lamar Hall, Jordy Bansma, Lemon64K, Callum Tierney, Mischievous Marco, The Underground Game Cat, Brian East, Alajimbe D2Y, Underground Stranger Game Cat, The Game Cat, Andrew Ehrenreich, Mark Smith, XKX Ping, Jarzafash, The Legacy of Kane Cat, Hooked Worm, The Hoosier Game Cat, Outcast VR, Prophecy 777, Test Rate Review, Salvador, Wade, FNCS Kieran, and Sean Krim. If you want to join the Patreon or YouTube membership, all those links are down below. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.